Hello everyone, and welcome back to Thetis and Dragon Age Origins. We are back, we are at the party camp, and we have Liliana, Alistair, and all of our good friends, Morgan way over there. So what we're going to do is, and of course cannot forget Brennan, barking up the path there. That path, where does that path lead? Oh, it's just the world map, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by talking to Sandol. We actually, earlier, near the end of last episode, we actually talked to Bowden Fedek, but we didn't actually address whatever was going on with Sandol. So let's go and address him specifically. After we address Sandol, we will talk to Levi Dryden to see what he wants. Then we'll talk to Alistair, Liliana, and Morgan. And once we have finished talking with them, then we'll head out and we will actually go to the Arl of Redcliffe and we'll see what we can do there. We need to go to Redcliffe anyways because if you remember from the Korkeri Wilds, there was we found a cache mentioned by Rigby in his last will, and we need to deliver it to Jeddah, which is in Redcliffe. So we're going to knock it two birds with one stone by going there. Okay, so let's see what Sandal has to say.
Hello.
The boy's a bit simple, but he's rather good with enchantments. One of those tranquil fellas actually called him a... what was it now? A savant. I had no idea such a thing existed.
Oh, yeah. What enchantments does he do?
He can fold lyrium into almost any weapon or piece of armor, though naturally some of the more extravagant materials will take more lyrium than others. It's a process that some of the master smiths back in Orzammar will perform, but my boy here is just as adept at it. Isn't that right, boy?
Enchantment!
And there you have it.
Okay. All right, I want some enchanting done.
Enchantment!
Oh, what? Oathkeeper. So this is the sword that Alistair is... Yeah, it's equipped to Alistair. I can add these runes to it. Novice Slow Rune. It's a chance to reduce the movement speed. And this is an electricity damage. I think the electricity damage sounds awesome. Let's add it. Just like that. Plus 2... Okay, accept. Is it that easy? Oh my god, it's that easy? All enchantable items in the party inventory, including those currently equipped, can be upgraded by an enchanter, so long as you have runes available. Select the item you wish to enchant, then drag and drop the desired runes into the slots on the item. Okay, well there you go. Can I do it again? Nope, I guess I can. So I guess the enchanting is something that I have to do. So like... How would I do that? Spells, talents, I guess it would be here. No, it would be... Huh, I'm not sure. Oh, skills, it would be here. I am really not sure to tell you the truth. There's herbalism, so I'd expect enchanting to be here. I don't know where else to do it, but... Okay, so let's go ahead and talk to Levi Dryden. Oh, you know what, though? I can't talk to him again.
If there's anything I can do for you, please, please tell me.
Yeah, let's see
I'm
your
sure you'll be
wares.
pleased with the goods my boy and I have collected, and with your discount.
I'm looking for flasks, because here we go. This is what I was looking for. I need flasks because I can't make any potions. I can't make anything. So these simple glass containers are able to hold many components, even unstable ones. And then these, I'm not sure, but I definitely want to buy a few flasks. So right click, buy. How many? Let's get 10. All right, cool. We've got our flasks. I'm happy with that. Let's see what Levi has to say.
You're a hard man to find. Where are my manners? The name is Levy Dryden. Did Duncan ever mention me? Levy of the coins? Levy the trader?
No, I've never heard of you, but I'm Theron.
Really? He never told you of old Levy? We've known each other for years. But here I am carrying on while you have a blight to stop. Don't want to waste your time. But you see, Duncan promised that together we'd look into something important for the Wardens. And for me. But poor Duncan's... well,
Yeah.
no more. A tragedy it is, at that. But I know he would want his work carried on. His pledge fulfilled.
So what promise did Duncan make to you?
My family, well, past a bit checkered to see. Nobles look at us with disdain. My great-great-grandmother, Sophia Dryden, was the last Warden commander of Ferelden back when the Wardens were known as freeloaders. So King Arlen banished the Wardens, and he took House Dryden's land and titles.
Oh, wow. And what happened next?
Hard to say. After King Arlen died, there was a civil war, loads worse than this one, and our family was on the run, hunted by enemies, with nary a friend in the world. But Drydens are tough. We rebuilt, became merchants, and we never lost our pride.
I see. I'm surprised you kept your name, actually, because, you know, that would give you away.
Our family's only crime was guarding the kingdom against the blight. We're not ashamed of that.
Okay, so what favor did you ask of Duncan?
I asked for the truth. My family reveres Sophia Dryden. We know she died at the old Grey Warden base, Soldier's Peak. We want evidence to clear her name. It won't restore our land or our titles, but it'll restore our honor.
Interesting. I've never heard of Soldier's Peak.
Well, no one's been to Soldier's Peak since Arlen's days. At least none that's come back. I spent years mapping the maze of tunnels to the peak, and I found the way a few years back. So I went to Duncan, I did, and I said that he could reclaim the old base and my family could have its honor.
Oh. To claim the base. How will reclaiming the peak help the Wardens?
Soldier's Peak is strategic and symbolic importance. Duncan said that it would be worth it right there. He also hoped to recover lost Warden history and perhaps a few old relics. No one knows what's up there now.
I see. So, why didn't Duncan help you then?
Darkspawn surfaced in southern Ferelden, and Duncan got plenty busy recruiting new Wardens and meeting with good King Caelan. Duncan said he would help after the Battle of Ostagar. Said there might be useful things at the peak, but he never had the chance.
I see. Well, your family's faith will be rewarded. I will help you, eventually.
1,000 blessings upon you, Warden. I'll mark down the location on your map. When you arrive, we'll pick our way through the tunnels together.
The history of the Drydens. Sophia Dryden. Gotcha. So the updated quest is Soldier's Peak. This is premium content, so this is part of the DLC. Levy offered to take you through the maze of tunnels that lead to the old Great Warden base of Soldier's Peak. He wishes to uncover proof that his ancestor, Sophia Dryden, was the hero his family's always thought she was. Interesting. Okay, so as far as the DLC content goes, I haven't been able to address this. I will be doing all of the DLC and completing it. I will be completing all of this premium content, and I'll also be doing all of the other content that is at the title screen. On the title screen of the game, there says other campaigns. I will be doing those other campaigns as well. There is a specific order that you're supposed to do the campaigns in, though, and I want to do them sort of chronologically. Which, if I'm going to do them chronologically, that means that I need to have already done Liliana's song, because that technically takes place first. But I decided, except for that one, I'm going to do the base game and the content within the game, and then after the game, this Dragon Age Origins is over, then I'll start doing the DLCs, starting with Liliana's song. which technically takes place before this game. Takes like place slightly before. So we'll do that later. But right now, I'm not going to do the Soldier's Peak. I'm going to look into it and figure out when is a good time to do it. I guess I could do it right now, but I want to continue on with the main game, and then we will be doing this stuff as time goes on. But right now, I'm going to focus on the main game, and I will be getting to that later. Okay, so now that we've done that, I think what I'm going to do now, is we've got to look at the Codex. That's right. So let's look at some of the interesting things that we've unlocked. Okay, so culture and history. Is it this? History of the Dryadens. Okay. So in the years following the siege of Soldier's Peak, all those who carried the Dryden name were hunted by King Arlen's forces. Our noble Dryden name was smeared, and all lands and holdings belonging to the Drydens were seized by the crown. The king feared that the rebellion started by Sophia would be kept alive by her loyal friends and family, and anyone with connections to the Drydens suffered greatly. It is little wonder, then, that the few remaining Drydens found themselves with no allies and nowhere to turn. Tobin Dryden, Sophia's brother and guardian of her young son, had no choice but to flee Ferelden. Tobin brought passage to Antiva on a merchant vessel and traveled under the name of Doroker. Once in Antiva, Tobin set about building a new, quiet life for himself and his nephew. He started a small business and eventually made a name for himself as a trader. The Doroker merchant family prospered, and the name Dryden was almost forgotten. However, in 815 Blessed Age, Sylvie Doroker uncovered old documents belonging to Tobin and pieced together the family's history. In her pride, and perhaps in her naivete, Sylvie reclaimed the name Dryden and returned to Ferelden. Okay. So Sylvie, I guess, was his wife that he married. King Arland lies dead, and the Dryden name lives on. Our family has survived, even thrived, since the death of Sophia Dryden. The nobles of Ferelden may still spit on the Dryden name, but we Drydens know that Sophia Dryden was greater than them, almost a queen and a hero of the people of Ferelden. From the personal files of Levi Dryden, merchant. Okay, that's interesting. So, I'm not exactly sure why the Drydens were hunted by King Arland. Doesn't really say. It just says in the years following the siege of Soldier's Peak, all those who carried the Dryden name were hunted. But why? Unless they were the current ruler at the time, they were the current ruling family, and then they were kicked out. But if they were just a regular family, like why? Probably because they were the ruling family to begin with, and then they were, overtaken by King Arland. Oh, no, the king feared that the rebellion started by Sophia would be kept alive by her loyal friends and family, and anyone with connections, okay. So she was some kind of rebellious person. So I guess that was Sophia Dryden. Okay, and then characters. The character being Sophia Dryden. So Sophia Dryden is Ferelden's light and her most brilliant jewel. Nothing on this earth can ever quench her fire. Arlessa Sophia Dryden was the young Arlen's rival for the throne of Ferelden. Okay, well this is what I needed to know. Sophia Dryden was Arlessa. That means she was an Arl. Just a female Arl. She was the rival for the throne of Ferelden. Dryden was a strong and charismatic leader with much support from the Banorn. When Arland, and Banorn is an area to the north, When Arland finally won the crown, Dryden refused to relent. She pushed her claim, was caught, and accused of treason. Her sympathizers continued to support her, however. In order to appease them, Dryden was spared execution and forced to join the Grey Wardens instead. Oh, that's not a bad deal. Dryden survived the joining and dazzled the Grey Wardens at Soldier's Peak with her leadership skills and charm. She eventually rose through the ranks to become the Warden Commander of Ferelden. Before Commander Dryden, the Grey Wardens were seen as a relic of an older time and an unnecessary drain on the nobles' coffers. Dryden, though, with her political connections, reinvigorated the Wardens and rapidly increased their numbers. In the meantime, King Arland proved himself a devious king, willing to go to brutal lengths to silence his opponents. Arland's reign of terror grew worse with each passing year, and some of the bands approached Commander Dryden in desperation, begging her to intercede. She agreed, and thus was the rebellion against King Arland born. Oh, okay. So King Arland was getting out of hand. So the Banorn, or the bands, approached Commander Dryden and said, "Hey, let's do something." So Arland learned of the rebellion and took steps to end it. He publicly suspended all tithing to the Grey Wardens and declared that they were no longer welcome in Ferelden. Wow. Some of the Wardens, mindful that they were supposed to remain politically neutral, felt disgraced by Dryden's involvement in Ferelden politics and left her side even as the king's forces lay siege to Soldier's Peak. Whoa! The siege took months and ended with the death of Sophia Dryden. My goodness. Okay, so this is what I needed to know. This was the important part that I should have read first. I should have read the character bit first. So she lost to become king, or queen, I guess. Since she lost, then she joined the Grey Wardens. Then she became the commander of the Grey Wardens. She tried to overthrow King Arland, but she lost, and some of her fellow Grey Wardens was like, hey, I don't approve of this. I'm not down with it. So they kind of abandoned her, and she was attacked, and that's where she died. And then going back here, the history of the Drydens, then here's the second part in the years following the siege of Soldier's Peak. So this is actually, I should have read the second, but yeah, okay. There we go. Cool. So that's going to be interesting, like, backstory for the DLC when I start it. But for now, before I head out onto the world map and go to Redcliffe, I'm going to speak to Liliana.
Yes?
I'd like to talk.
Well, here I am.
Okay. What was life like in the Chantry Cloister?
Quiet. It was a life suited for contemplation. In the cloister, away from the fuss and the flurry of the cities, I found peace. And in that stillness, I could hear the Maker. But it was not perfect. Some of my Chantry fellows were condescending. That is the nature of religious folk, I suppose.
Condescending. How so?
When I talked about my beliefs, that the Maker reveals himself in the beauty of his world, they treated me with disdain. They want to believe that he's gone, so that when he turns his gaze on them, it means they are special, chosen. He cannot possibly have love for all, the sick and the weary, the beggars and the fools.
Well, that's an interesting concept. And what did you say to them?
What can I say to them? What they believe is what the Chantry says, and the Chantry is infallible, yes? Maybe I am wrong. But it is the Maker's place to decide if I am worthy, not men, not the Chantry. But there is work to be done, and I have talked enough for now.
Oh, well, that ended abruptly. Oh, that's cool. He's like kneeling. Wow, look at that sword. His sword looks awesome.
What do you need?
I'd like to ask you something. No. Do you want to talk about Duncan?
You don't have to do that. I know you didn't know him as long as I did.
Okay, well, I just thought you might need to talk.
I should have handled it better. Duncan warned me right from the beginning that this could happen. Any of us could die in battle. I shouldn't have lost it, not when so much is riding on us, not with the Blight and everything. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. There's no need to apologize.
I'd like to have a proper funeral for him. Maybe once this is all done, if we're still alive. I don't think he had any family to speak of.
Wow. Well, what about the other Grey Wardens?
I don't know. I have no idea what the Grey Wardens do for when they fall in battle. The Dalish don't practice cremation, do they? How do your people honor your dead?
Well, we bury them, and then we plant a tree over their remains.
That sounds quite beautiful. Life, springing from death. Thank you. Really, I mean it. It was good to talk about it, at least a little.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I'll go to High Ever with you when you go.
I'd like that. So would he, I think.
Whoa, +3. All right, like to hear it. So if I talk to him
What
again,
do you need?
I'd like to ask you
Ask
something.
away.
Yeah, this Templar thing is always kind of odd to me. What can a Templar do exactly?
Essentially, they're trained to fight. The Chantry would tell you that the Templars exist simply to defend. But don't let them fool you. They're an army. The other main purpose for a Templar is, of course, to hunt mages. To that end, we train in talents that drain mana and disrupt spells.
Wait, but so the Templars use magic themselves?
You could call it that, sure. The Chantry doesn't look on it the same way, however, since really our talents only work on mages. Against a regular person, I'm just a guy in a metal suit.
So have you hunted any mages?
No, I never actually became a full Templar. Duncan recruited me before I took my vows. I was only present during one harrowing. The ritual that they test the mages with. It's not unlike our joining, really. And just as deadly. The girl they tested, she had a demon put inside her to see if she could resist. And she couldn't. We had to end it quickly. I have to say I didn't have much interest in becoming a Templar after that.
Yeah, it almost seems like the Templars could run the Chantry.
You'd think that, but it's not so. The Chantry keeps a close rein on its Templars. We are given lyrium to help develop our magical talents, you see. Which means we become addicted. And since the Chantry controls the lyrium trade with the dwarves, well, I'm sure you can put 2 and 2 together.
Huh. So then you're addicted to this lyrium?
Thankfully, no. You only start receiving lyrium once you've taken your vows. You don't need lyrium in order to learn the Templar talents. Lyrium just makes Templar's talents more effective, or so I was told. Maybe it doesn't even do that. The Chantry usually doesn't let their Templars get away either, so they can spread their secrets. I'm a bit of an exception. Lucky me.
Again? Another +3, or is that the same +3 as before? Yeah, that's the same +3 as before. Okay. I feel like I want to talk to Lillian
Yes?
one last time.
Well, here I am.
This vision of yours.
I knew this would come up sooner or later. I don't know how to explain, but I had a dream. In it, there was an impenetrable darkness. It was so dense, so real. And there was a noise, a terrible, ungodly noise. I stood on a peak and watched as the darkness consumed everything. And when the storm swallowed the last of the sun's light, I fell, and the darkness drew me in.
So you dreamed of the Blight then?
I suppose I did. That was what the darkness was, no? When I woke, I went to the Chantry's gardens, as I always do. But that day, the rose bush in the corner had flowered. Everyone knew that bush was dead. It was grey and twisted and gnarled, the ugliest thing you ever saw. But there it was, a single beautiful rose. It was as though the Maker stretched out his hand to say, even in the midst of this darkness, there is hope and beauty. Have faith.
Okay. Alright, wishful thinking, that sounds good. No, that's not what that is. So this made you want to help me then?
In my dream, I fell. Or maybe I jumped. I'd do anything to stop the Blight. I know that we can do it. There are so many good things in the Maker's world. How can I sit by while the Blight devours everything?
Sure, okay. That's an interesting thought. The Blight is the Maker's punishment. Will you defy him?
I don't know. He made this world. He could destroy it. But there is so much worth saving. You're such a pessimist.
Oh no! She disapproves. Oh well. Okay. I think it's a good point. I mean, hey, what if this Blight is the Maker's will? I mean, right? Doesn't that make sense? Oh well. If we don't get along, we don't get along. What am I supposed to do about it? Alright, here's Morgan, all by herself over here. Look at all those potions, my gosh.
What do you wish of me?
Oh, I don't really, wish anything. I'd just like to discuss something personal.
We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
Why are you still here?
I am here because Flemeth commanded me to aid you. Why? Do you wish me to leave?
No.
I can do so if you prefer.
No, I don't want you to leave.
Then I assume our discussion ends here.
-10? Are you serious?
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
How did you become a shape changer?
I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A most amusing legend.
That does sound like something you'd do.
Oh? I truly doubt that children would be worth the effort. They are filthy, smelly things full of tears and snot and trouble. That said, I cannot speak for the tastes of my mother. She has, after all, lived a very lengthy time in the wilds and done many things I know nothing of. Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know?
There have been Dalish keepers who use similar magic.
Oh? Then I have no doubt your people do much to keep their talents well hidden from humans. I wonder if I was to ask one of your keepers of the origin of their magics, if there would be any relation to what I was taught.
Well, I guess, yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
I may even ask my mother about it someday, though I doubt she would tell the truth of it even so. Such is her way.
Can you change into other human forms as well?
The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is. I gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess.
Ah, okay. Can anyone become a shape changer?
Anyone with sufficient will, but the act of transformation is a magical one. 'Tis a spell and thus requires a mage's talents. If you had a notion to learn such a skill for yourself, sadly, you must remain disappointed.
Do you spend a lot of time as an animal?
There were nights when the wilds called to me, 'tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary.
Gotcha. And what do other animals think of you when you are changed?
They do not shy away from me. To their senses, I believe I seem like any other of their species. As to what they think, I truly cannot say. Just as I am still human, no matter my form, they are still animals. Thus they cannot speak, even were I to ask.
Huh. Okay, that's all I wanted to ask.
Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch?
I guess I'll go with the joke. Maybe tied to a flagpole and tickled.
I wouldn't advise it. But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us.
Oh, she approves. +3. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to fix, because I went -10. That's a lot to make up for. Alright, so that was fun. I got to know a little bit of everybody here. Unfortunately, didn't do too well with Morrigan. I don't really think I can talk to Brennan.
Oh, why, you little...
Wait, what?
Your furry friend here took offense at me getting near his food. He snapped at me, look.
Well then, don't get near his food. Well, he is a war dog.
Sometimes I forget that he's a war dog. That'll teach me.
Okay. Well, that'll do it there. From this point on, we are going to Redcliffe. So that'll end it on this episode. So this entire episode, we stayed in the party camp, and I just got used to what is the party camp like. I didn't get to give anybody any gifts, but that's okay. I got to talk to a few of the different people here, and next episode we'll be heading to Redcliffe. I will see you next time.